Look at this neighborhood. It is peaceful, quiet, and beautiful. This is a place called Brookfield, a very wealthy area in the country of Australia. In the year 2012, everyone who lived here knew each other. Children played outside until the sun went down, and people never even locked their front doors. To the neighbors looking from the outside, it seemed like the safest place in the world. Right in the middle of this beautiful neighborhood lived the Baden-Clay family. The mother, Allison, was incredibly kind, gentle, and smiling. She was a dedicated mother who loved her 3 little girls more than anything else in the world. The father, Gerard, was a successful real estate businessman whose job was to sell houses to people in the town. Gerard always wore a nice, sharp suit, his shoes were always shiny, and he talked politely to everyone he met. He was a leader in the community. Whenever he walked down the street, he would wave and ask neighbors how their day was going. People in the town truly believed that Gerard was the perfect husband, a wonderful father, and a great man. But sometimes people wear a mask to hide who they really are. Behind the closed doors of their beautiful house, Gerard was hiding some very dark and scary secrets. His business was failing completely. He had made bad choices and he owed a massive amount of money to the bank and to other people. He was terrified of losing his wealthy lifestyle. Even worse, Gerard was living a secret double life. He was not being a good husband. He had a secret girlfriend and he was lying to Allison every single day. The police later found messages showing that this other woman was getting tired of waiting. Gerard had promised her that he would leave Allison by the very end of April so they could start a new life together. He was under massive pressure from his debts and his lies. On the morning of April 20, 2012, the quiet at the local police station was broken by a phone call. It was Gerard. His voice was shaking with panic and fear. He told the police officer that his wife, Allison, had gone out for her usual walk the night before at 10 p.m. to get some exercise, but she never came back home. He said he went to sleep, and when he woke up at 6 in the morning, her side of the bed was completely empty and cold. Immediately, the whole community jumped into action to find her. Hundreds of regular citizens, friends, and police officers put on walking shoes. They formed long lines and walked through the thick bushes, looked under concrete bridges and scanned the local parks. Police helicopters flew low overhead, and everyone was shouting Allison's name into the trees, hoping to hear her call back. Everyone wanted to find the loving mother and bring her back home to her 3 little girls. And right in the middle of all this community sadness was Gerard. He stayed around the area, looking out the window with a broken expression. He acted like a sad, grieving husband who was praying for his wife's safety. Neighbors felt so sorry for him. Whenever a person goes missing suddenly, the police always have to ask the family members some questions first. This is normal rule number 1 in police work because the family is usually the last to see the person. So, detectives brought Gerard down to the police station. They sat him in a small, quiet room with a recording camera. The detectives expected to see a man who was crying or shaking with fear. But Gerard had an answer for everything. He was very calm. Too calm. He had a perfect timeline of his entire night, showed them his phone logs and explained every single minute. He spoke in a smooth, professional voice and acted like he had absolutely nothing to hide. But as the detectives sat across from him under the bright, harsh lights of the interview room, they noticed something strange on Gerard's face. On his right cheek, moving down toward his jawline, there were deep, red, angry marks. They looked like fresh scratches that had just happened recently. The police officer leaned forward and asked, "Gerard, what happened to your face?" Gerard smiled softly and didn't even blink. He had a quick excuse ready. He said, "Oh, this? I was in a massive rush this morning because I was worried about Allison. I grabbed an old, dull razor to shave my beard, my hand shook and I accidentally cut myself." It seemed like a simple answer, but real detectives do not just believe words. They started digging deep into his real life. That is when they discovered the failing business, the massive financial debts, and the secret girlfriend. They found the emails where Gerard promised that his marriage would be over by the end of the month. Suddenly, the police realized Gerard had a huge reason to want his wife gone. 10 long days passed and the tension in the town grew worse. Then the worst news arrived. A man walking his dog near the Colo River, which was miles away from the family home, looked down into the muddy water under a bridge. There, caught in the logs, he found Allison's body. The missing person case instantly turned into a murder investigation. Gerard thought he had committed the perfect crime. He was a smart man who sold houses for a living. He had thoroughly washed his cars and cleaned his house until they were spotless. There were no fingerprints left behind, no messy clues, and no witnesses by the river. He believed he was completely safe. But he forgot about the incredible power of forensic science. The police took high-resolution photos of the marks on Gerard's face and showed them to top skin experts and doctors. The experts analyzed the wounds and completely destroyed Gerard's shaving story. They explained that a razor blade is made of smooth, sharp metal. If you cut yourself shaving, it leaves a single, clean, straight line in the skin. But the marks on Gerard's cheek were rough, uneven, and jagged. The skin had been torn and ripped, not sliced. The experts stated officially, "These are absolutely not razor cuts. A razor cannot make a mark like this. These are fingernail scratches. Someone clawed at his face with power while fighting to protect themselves." That was the first massive crack in his alibi. But nature had one more trap waiting for Gerard. While examining Allison's body at the laboratory, scientists found tiny leaves, twigs, and small round seeds caught tightly inside her hair. They weren't ordinary leaves from the muddy riverbank. They came from very specific rare types of garden trees. The botanical experts tested all the plants around the river where Allison was found, and none of those specific trees grew there. But when the police went back to investigate Gerard's house, they walked into the backyard and looked up at the sky. Growing right over the grass were the exact same rare trees, including a Chinese elm and a jacaranda tree. This scientific discovery changed everything. It meant Allison did not go for a night walk down the road like Gerard claimed. She had been attacked right in her own backyard. During the struggle, the rare leaves had fallen from the trees above and gotten trapped in her hair before her husband carried her away to the car. Nature itself had caught the kill. In July 2014, Gerard Baden-Clay was put on trial for murder. The courtroom was packed with emotional neighbors and journalists. Gerard stood up in his nice suit, speaking in a smooth, calm voice, trying to keep his perfect act going. He told the jury he loved his wife and that he was completely innocent. But the prosecutors brought out the undeniable science. They showed the jury the large pictures of the scratches and the matching backyard leaves. The 12 regular people in the jury listened to the science and saw right through his lies. They found Gerard Baden-Clay guilty of murder, and the judge sentenced him to life in prison, where he remains today. Gerard Baden-Clay thought he was the perfect killer who was smart enough to trick the entire world. But he forgot that a tiny detail, the scratch of a fingernail from a brave woman fighting back, and a few small leaves dropping from a tree, can speak louder than a million clever lies. In the end, the truth won, and the small details brought big justice for Allison and her 3 daughters.